No, you don't need to go on the
Well, good evening, WNBA and LA Sparks fans. Good Monday evening to you folks, and welcome in to the LA Sparks 365
Okay.
Network, their 24/7, 365 comprehensive home of the WNBA and your two-time WNBA champion Los Angeles Sparks. It is an off night, folks, for the team and for the league in general tonight, folks. No games going on tonight in the WNBA, but again, everybody, welcome into the flagship show of the network here, folks. Sparks 365 here on the LA Sparks 365 Network here, folks. Of course, alongside Chris Mancy from the Ann and Hart Studios up in Anaheim, California. I am Cal McClurg, folks, back in San Diego after last night here at Studio 171 in San Diego. Chris, good evening, man. How's it going tonight? I know things didn't turn out the right way last night, as far as the game goes last night. But how's it going, man?
Nothing much. I'm hanging here.
Very good, folks. Folks, by the way, bear with me for tonight, folks. I'm a little bit under the weather tonight. I'm going to be playing tonight's show, folks. Hurt, bit of a scratchy throat, raspy voice today, a little bit cold. But in any case, folks, bear with the guy here in San Diego tonight, folks. If you can. If not, you can not watch tonight and come back tomorrow or Wednesday, perhaps. But again, folks, a bit under the weather from last night's trip to LA. A bit of a small little raspy throat going on right now at this point in time. But, folks, we will get to the experience I had last night in about 59 minutes here, folks, at 11 during the Guys with the Petition here, folks, at 11 o'clock tonight. We'll have Sparks Fan at 10:30 tonight, and, of course, we got 365 here until 10:30. But, folks, again, we will, again tonight, folks, actually, there is no games tonight in the WNBA. It is a off night for everybody in the league this evening, including tonight and tomorrow. There are no games in the league, and there's only one game on Wednesday and then a full slate on Friday night. So, again, no games tonight or tomorrow in the WNBA. Reason being, who knows why, probably with the compacted schedule. Nothing occurring out of that. Okay, folks, we'll get to our opening tip-off headlines tonight. And, Chris, we're going to start with the obvious one before we get to the game is, again, Nneka Ogwumike did not play last night due to her lower back strain suffered on Friday night, Chris, and also Candice Wiggins held out of the lineup last night as well due to a swollen left knee, Chris. And before we get to the game, man, I think, though, man, that the presence of Nneka and Ice, I think, man, was the death sentence, I think, for the Sparks last night. Because without Nneka in the lineup, I mean, there was really no possibility of the Sparks locking down Brittney Griner last night. They did an okay job for the most part, man, but it looked like without Enno's presence, without Ice coming off the bench, there was some small discombobulation last night at Houston Center, I think.
Yep, agree. Without Candice Wiggins and Nneka Ogwumike, I think that's why the struggles against last night was hard.
Yeah, completely justified, man. It was just a rough night in general, folks. We'll get to the recap of last night's game, folks. With Magic Johnson sitting along the baseline, the LA Sparks were eager to make a positive first impression on their new owner, including Callum McClurg at the game for his birthday. But unfortunately, folks, Diana Taurasi and the Mercury ruined that plan. Taurasi scored 23, including the go-ahead runner in the last minute, and the Mercury defeated the Sparks 74-69 to spoil the team's home opener. Taurasi added 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals. Her one-hand runner along the baseline with 30 seconds left in the game was the last of 18 different lead changes and was the pivotal moment of a 13-3 Mercury run over the last 2.5 minutes. Taurasi, who is a local Chino Hills native, said that those last 2 minutes are always tricky. They can go either way. They just missed a couple shots. We made a couple shots. The game was in the balance. We got a little luckier today, close quote. Dewana Bonner added 16 points and 11 rebounds, and Brittney Griner added 13 points and 10 rebounds, and Candice Dupree added 18 for Phoenix, who's now 0-2. Griner, in her statement, said that we just took it a possession at a time. They had a lead, and we knew we just needed to chip away at it, get a stop, get a score, and across the board we did that, close quote. On the Sparks side of the spectrum, Candace Parker had 23 points and 11 rebounds for another double-double. Elena Beard had 16 for LA, which was playing its first game at home since a group led by Magic Johnson and the Dodgers, controlling owner Mark Walter, purchased the team back in February. Johnson immediately put a stamp on the organization with the famous Showtime moniker from his Lakers days, figuring primarily in the Sparks' intro video and the word Magic adorning the team employee shirts. The Sparks weren't quite able to duplicate the Showtime days as they shot just 31%, or 6 of 9, in the fourth quarter to blow a 66-61 lead. They were also out-rebounded 41-32, surrendering 12 offensive boards in the process. Coach Cal Ross said that I'm sure there was some fatigue involved, but we have to fight through that as well. Rebounding was the biggest issue. We started the game poorly rebounding, and our energy had nothing to do with that, close quote. The Sparks fell behind early into a 16-6 hole early in the first quarter, but staged a furious rally to take a 30-29 halftime lead at recess, with Parker scoring 10 in the second quarter along to lead the surge. The lead had changed 11 times in a back-and-forth fourth quarter. In the third quarter, and the Mercury emerged with a 51-50 edge heading into the fourth. The back and forth continued deep into the final quarter when a grinder putback and free throw gave the Mercury a 1-point lead with 46 seconds left in the game. Parker drained 2 free throws to put the Sparks back in the lead, but Taurasi made her one-hand runner to make it 70-69. Phoenix and extended to 72-69 with a pair of free throws. Tolliver's potential game-winning game-time three-pointer rimmed out with 15 to go, and Bonner iced the game with 2 free throws in the final seconds. Overall, the Mercury shot 18 of 20 from the free throw line and made their final 7 free throws. Taurasi also said that those free throws are huge. You miss those, they come back and bite you. Those are the things that if you can't really execute, it really helps, close quote. Well, Chris, obviously not making an excuse for LA, but you could tell, like myself, my dad, and the other 10,000 plus at the game last night, man, there were nerves, there were nervous bodies, there was some fatigue on the side of the Sparks, and it really had the impact of the turning point of the game. Again, the early hole being down 10 early in the first quarter. Just out of sync, out of rhythm, man, and you know what? They get a free pass here because this was their first game back home in LA. There was uncertainty, you know, there was a lot of people there, and of course, Chris, with Maddie being there, they were a bit too fine, too fancy last night, and the first quarter was basically the story of the game last night.
Yep, agree. Too nervous because what they gone through the off season, thinking they were going to go into the Bay Area, or folded, and first game in Los Angeles with Magic Johnson there, and just a lot of
nervousness, a little bit of fatigue, Chris, some injuries as well, with Nneka Ogwumike being out with her back strain, so she's got to get healthy before Sunday. She's got all week until next week, until Sunday to get ready. Candace Wing's a bit of a minor little bruised knee, it sounds like, so just want to take those injuries lightly. And of course, Chris, you don't want to bring the players back in, 3 games in. If they do have an injury, Courtney Watson and Say Sam I Am on Twitter, Chris will take perfectly good care of them. So if you got an injury, take your time and come back when you're fully back to 100%, but don't be coming back out here, Chris, at 90 or 80% when it's only 3 games into the season.
Yep, agree.
Folks, the final statistical stats from the game last night by quarter: Phoenix 18 in the first, 11 in the second, 22 and 23 quarters 3 and 4 for the Sparks. Not abiding, Chris, by the newly named petition law of the 20 points in each quarter, 11 in the first, 19 in the second, 20 in the third, 19 in the fourth, grand total of 69. So, Chris, there is your X factor again, man. The petition law wins again. 20 or more in a quarter, you win the game. You got 19, that ain't 20. So, Chris, they fell short. So, again, man, petition law never lies, it looks like now after tonight.
Yep, agree.
So, again, folks, the Sparks, with the loss, fall to 1-1, and they are now currently, if the playoffs started today, folks, they would be in 4th place playing the aforementioned Mercury in the 2014 conference semifinals. The game stats from last night, folks. Field goal percentage, the Sparks edge out Phoenix by barely 1%, 40-39 LA. 3-point shooting, Phoenix head and shoulders better, 33-30% 3-point shooting. Chris, free throw shooting was the other turning point, Chris. Phoenix 90%, and Chris, the Sparks at a alarming 65% from the charity stripe last night, Chris. That cannot happen, as DT said, Chris. 3 free throws bite you in the backside, and it bit LA in the backside last night.
Yep, it did.
Like it did this battle on Friday night. Chris, other stats here: total rebounds, LA 8, Phoenix 5. Offensive rebounds, Phoenix 12, LA 8. Turnover department, Chris, considering the Sparks had a rough first half. Turnovers last night, Phoenix 18, LA 16. Sparks had 18 fast break points. The biggest lead of the night was 10. The Sparks' big lead was 5. And the points in the paint, Phoenix 28, LA 26. Player stat-wise, points for Phoenix last night, Diana Taurasi, 23 points. DeWanna Bonner, 11 rebounds. 7 assists for Aaron Phillips, 4 steals for Bonner, and 4 blocks for Brittany Griner for the Sparks. Candace Parker, a double-double last night, 23 and 11. 3 players tied with 3 assists, and 2 players tied with 4 players tied with 2 steals, and Parker 2 blocks. The Sparks will play Phoenix again on July 6th at Staples Center, 1 p.m. on ESPN2. Again, folks, we'll recap my experience of the game last night at 11 o'clock on the Guys with the Petition. But again, Chris, we'll go back to it, man. But again, just that getting the nerves out of the way. Okay, you got the first home game under your belt. You know what you're going to be expecting with Magic being at the games, if he's able to do so with the Dodger games. There's going to be big crowds. So again, Chris, the free pass is gone. Now it's really on at home now when the Sparks play their games at Staples now after last night.
Yep, agreed. And like you said off air, I just hope it's not reversed. Like last season, Sparks, terrible on the road and good at home. I just hope it's not. They do good on the road and terrible on the road at home.
Yeah, I mean, if that's a role reversal, man, they're really going to be in trouble this season. But we'll see what occurs again, folks. Recap again, folks. But again, Phoenix 74, LA 69 in the Sparks home opener. Again, the Sparks blowing a late fourth-quarter lead again. Chris, why does it always seem like the Sparks seem to blow a lead sometimes? But why does it always have to be against either Phoenix or Minnesota, or more so Phoenix, like what occurred in the postseason last year? Is there like something between the Sparks and the Mercury that always seems to go against the Sparks in these games? It looks like.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's something at Staples Center or something involving the Sparks and Mercury, but it seems like something happens. I think the Sparks are jinxed, I think, against the Mercury in the last waning few minutes of the game at Staples or at US Airways Center, folks. But again, Mercury 74, Sparks 69. The Sparks are back home Sunday afternoon, 12:30 p.m. against the San Antonio Stars. 12:30 game time on Time Warner Cable Sportsnet and Time Warner Cable Deportes. Again, Chris, refreshing here, but again, man, the Sparks again defeated last night, 74-69. But again, Chris, more so the injuries, the 2 players that are out right now, at least Candace Wiggins, sore/bruised knee. And, of course, Chris, the big one right now, Nneka Ogwumike, lower back strain. Again, man, I think they played a role in the loss last night, again, without the presence of Wiggins, the big body of Ogwumike. But, again, hopefully, hopefully, Chris, again, I hope that they do not rush back to the court. I mean, if they do have some lingering issue, see Courtney Watson, see Sam I Am on Twitter. And just don't come back when you're not really back to 100% yet, is all I'm going to say on this one.
Yep, agree.
Yeah, folks, the Sparks' next game will be next Sunday at 12:30 p.m. against the San Antonio Stars. Game time 12:30. That you can catch the game on Time Warner Cable Sportsnet or get your tickets today by calling 844-GO-SPARKS or online at lasparks.com. Again, the Sparks in their home opener are defeated last night by the Phoenix Mercury 74-69. Chris, there's not a whole lot else to get to tonight in the Sparks universe tonight. Chris, going across the league now. Chris, we're going to talk about Shawnee Schimmel, who right now at this point in time is my pick right now for the Rookie of the Year nominee this season. She has been playing outstanding basketball right now for the Atlanta Dream. The reason being is she has been just in fuego or on fire her last 2 games, and I believe, man, she is either set or has broken the Dream's assist record through her first 2 games in the league. And Chris, I don't think I've ever recalled a rookie taking her team or the league by storm in this long. Then perhaps Candace Parker in 08, maybe Griner in the 3 seed last year in 2012, Nneka with LA in 2012 when she came up here in the draft. But Chris, I mean, I don't think I've seen anybody, at least in the past 10 years when I've watched the league, Chris, like Diana in 2004, like Parker in 2008, that really, Chris, was, basically the Rookie of the Year and possibly MVP after 2 games in the season, man. I mean, just talk about, the rookie play so far of Shawnee Schimmel, man, because it sounds like, man, she is either tied or she is about to break the Dream's all-time assist record already. And what's probably, Chris, only going to be her 3rd game in the league.
Yep, just unbelievable. and she probably like a lot of people are starting saying she might surprise people and win the Rookie of the Year.
I mean, Chris, there are the worthy contenders, Shanae Ogumake of Connecticut, Odyssey Sims of Tulsa, maybe Megan Simmons from New York. But I think right now Shawnee Schimmel's the front runner. I think just after what she's done the first 2 games is what I can recall at least has not been something that I can recall being duplicated by any rookie in the WNBA in quite some time. Just in general right now. Folks, by the way, the final scores from last night, we only had 2 games in the WNBA last night. Final scores last night, the Lynx survive in double overtime, or in overtime last night. 90-87 over Connecticut, and of course the Mercury defeat the Sparks 74-69. We have 1 game on Wednesday, folks. That is a 9:30 a.m. pack time start, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Connecticut at Chicago. And then on Friday, we will have 3 games on the schedule. Check that, 4 games on the schedule on Friday. Seattle will be at Connecticut at 4. Washington at Indiana 4. Minnesota at Tulsa at 5 o'clock. And then the Stars at the Mercury at 7 p.m. So, Chris, so far, Chris, it seems like teams coming into Staples Center to play the Sparks have to go through that gauntlet of Phoenix, Chris. So I'll look at it this way, Chris, is if the teams that come to Staples Center the next night play in Phoenix, man, tough way to go on the road. Going through that gauntlet in Phoenix between Taurasi and Griner. Then you got to go to Hollywood to play the Sparks, again, with Candace Parker and the Cass Carrickers, man. Tough way to go down if you're playing those 2 teams on your schedule back-to-back like the Mercury did with Seattle then L.A. And now, Chris, San Antonio, and then now, Chris, the Stars get a taste of the medicine, too, between Phoenix one night then the Sparks the next day. So, Chris, what are you going to make? I mean, what are you making right now of the teams that are coming that go into Phoenix, Chris, then come into play at Staples Center the next night if their schedule is set up that way to play Phoenix one night, then you play the Sparks the next night?
Just a terrible week when you face in Phoenix, and the next week facing at Staples Center. Just a terrible week.
Tough way to go down, and I don't know really, Chris, who all has that schedule lineup where you have Phoenix and then you have the Sparks right after that, but I'm pretty sure some teams will have that run this year, and we'll see what occurs here at this point in time. Again, folks, there's not a whole lot else to occur that's occurring tonight in the WNBA. Just a lot of things that have occurred at least in the the Sparks game last night, and that's about it. We really have not had many other news worth noting here, but again, folks, we will remind you again that the Sparks' next home game, they are playing a 3-game, only a 2-game homestand, folks. They will have tonight, then they had last night, then tomorrow night or next Sunday. Again, they'll have the San Antonio Stars at 12:30 p.m. Folks, we'll have Sparks 365 pregame at 11:30 a.m. And then we'll have the postgame show at 3:30. Then all the other shows follow that as well. Then folks, again, we're going to preview, folks, the upcoming forecast for you folks. With the Sparks on the road the next 3 games after that. June 1st at Washington, we'll have that'll be a 1 o'clock game. Pregame at 12 o'clock, postgame roughly at 4. Then Tuesday, folks, might be a logjam because I'm stuck at broadcasting on Tuesday night. So we might, folks, have a small pregame show at 3:30 for you folks when the Sparks play Atlanta at 4 o'clock. That game can be seen on ESPN2. And then on June 6th, when the Sparks play the Sky, we'll have our pregame at 5, tip-off at 5:30, postgame follows at 8:30, and then June 8th, barring if Chris and I are at the game, folks, which does not sound like we will because I have some other commitments to take care of, we'll have pregame at 11:30, and the game will be we'll have pregame at 12 o'clock, 12:30 tip-off, and a 3:30 postgame show for you folks. Here, so the upcoming schedule for you folks, we will repost the schedule. We will repost the schedule for you folks later on this evening, folks. Again, we will get social with you folks coming up next at 10:30 on Sparks Fam, and then at 11 o'clock we'll recap the game again from my side of the spectrum tomorrow night, folks. Again, with the game being held last night and myself being at the game last night. Chris, anything you got to talk about, man, as far as the game last night, your observations at all, your little analysis at all, or what do you got for us, man?
Just not a great way to start the quarter, the game on an 11-2 run for Phoenix. Just not great, but they fought back and keep it close and give it all their shot.
Chris, there was two things that I saw in the first quarter that, or at least one thing that caught my eye, Chris, that was basically we might lose this game. And that would be, you know who, Diana Taurasi, who I do not think, Chris, missed a shot in the first 5 minutes. I would put money on that if I felt like it because she was dead on target. Like I told a few people, like I told one of the biggest DT fan on Instagram a few weeks ago when I made an edit for her is most times she's right on target and she does not miss. If she gets hot, you're in trouble. She got hot right then and there. Ball game over. Put one on the right side of the win-loss column last night because as soon as that happened, man, it was game over. I mean, as soon as that happened, there was the bad feeling of the postseason last year because when she was getting hot, it was game over. It was death sentence, and chalk went up on the right side of the win and loss column last night. And above all, too, man, the thing that, and of course, last night, the sparks just really weren't there. Again, we know about, first game with Magic being there and stuff like that. You know, the first game back in LA, all the Showtime gimmicks and stuff now, but I don't know if there was, something, if the basket was too high, if there was something involved at the arena that was distracting them or something or whatever it was, man, or if the ball had too much air in it, because the Sparks just couldn't seem, Chris, to put the ball in the basket in the first 5.5 minutes of the game, and when they finally got rolling, they, again, Chris, couldn't hold the lead. Again, they squandered it towards the end, and again, man, we know about the nerves and stuff that occurred last night at the game, so again, there's really no need to kind of panic and flip out, but again, there's some small adjustments to be made, Chris. You got to play, you got to out-rebound that opposing team. You got to play some better defense. You got to make your shots, and of course, Chris, make your free throws and abide by the petition law. Otherwise, you are not going to win the game. What do you think?
Yep, I agree.
So again, folks, the Sparks lose last night, 74-69. Again, folks, the upcoming schedule for the Sparks, May 25th at home versus the Stars, 12:30 game time. We'll have a 12 o'clock pregame show for you folks. Then on the road, folks, for 3 games, June 1st at the Mystics at 1 p.m., June 3rd at Atlanta, 4 p.m. on ESPN2, and then June 6th at the Chicago Sky, 5:30. Pregame for the Washington game at 12:30, 3:30 perhaps for the Tuesday game against Atlanta, and 5 o'clock for the game against the Chicago Sky, folks. And the Sparks come home for 3 for a game after that with the defending WNBA champions, the Minnesota Lynx, crawl and prowl their way into Staples Center on June 8th, 12:30 game time. Possibly 12 o'clock pregame if we are not at the game on June 8th, depending on my work schedule, and then 2 away games after that, June 13th and 14th at the Shock and at the Stars after that. Chris, we're going to get set here, man, to go to Sparks fans. So again, folks, already send in your tweets, IG photos, Instagram, your tweets, Instagram photos, your emails, and your live Q&A, folks, coming up next. Not much else to talk about here, Chris. We might wrap up here in a few minutes, but maybe about 2 minutes or so, Chris. We'll probably wrap up shop here. But again, Chris, recap the game for us, man, and what's your upcoming thoughts about the game on Sunday versus the Stars?
I think the Sparks are going to come out all fired up and come out great and probably score 20 points in the first quarter and probably win the game. And everyone will get Jamba Juice.
Perhaps we'll see what happens. But, Chris, all I'm saying here, at least for the Sparks case, what occurred last night is play some better defense. Be sure you're there to rebound the ball. Do not give away second chance points. And you got to make your free throws. And the law is enforced. You got to abide by the petition law. Score 20 in each quarter, win the game, and get back in the win column tomorrow night. Next week is all I'm saying. So again, Chris, out-rebound, out-defend, make your free throws, abide by the law. You should win a game next Sunday against the Stars. What do you think? Is that a good recipe, man?
Yep, agreed.
So, folks, we'll take a break here when we come back at 10:30. Sparks Fam is up next, folks, with your tweets, IG photos, emails, and live Q&A, folks. So don't go anywhere, folks. Sparks Fam up next here on the LA Sparks 365 Network. Don't go away.